And we start with the race for Arizona State Treasurer. Incumbent Republican Kimberly Yee faces Democratic State Senator Martin Quezada of Glendale. The state treasurer oversees the state's $29 billion investment fund and the management of $60 billion in payments to schools, state agencies, and local governments. Joining us now is Democratic State Senator Martin Quezada. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thanks, Bram. Good to be here.
So this is a down-ballot race for a statewide job that's not very well known. People should know Governor Doug Ducey was treasurer before he was elected governor, but it's been in the spotlight in recent months. So help folks understand what this job is, in your view.
Yeah, I think first it's important to understand what it's been to this point, and it's been just a kind of a parking place and a consolation prize for other candidates. But the role of the treasurer, chief banker, chief financial officer, and chief investment officer of the state of Arizona.
Okay, you're an attorney.
I am.
What qualifies you to be, or any other treasurer for that matter, a chief investment officer for the state?
Yeah, the management of public funds is much different than the management of private funds. So really the only experts in managing public funds are those people serving in treasurer's positions. But having the legal background, having the political background, and understanding the needs of the community is what really qualifies me to serve well in this role.
But I've always wondered, not just about you, but others, how do you know what these professional investment managers are talking about?
Well, it's not hard to understand what they're talking about. It's really a simple job. You want to keep the money safe. You want to get a good yield on your investment. And you want to keep that money liquid so that you're able to move that money around and pay the bills. Those are simple concepts. Once you get into more of those details, that's where you have experts around you to help you make those decisions and run that office.
So the office and treasurers around the country are getting attention right now for political reasons. You say you want to take politics out of this office. Where do you see politics playing a role?
In a couple of different ways. One, this office is being used by the current incumbent to really amplify her views on choice, her being an anti-choice official. That's the biggest one, because when you have an office like this that leverages that position and that platform, it influences decision makers at other levels of government as well, and it furthers that agenda. That's the number one issue. And the second issue is really the choices in how she invests and where she invests. That politics should be removed from those decisions so that we're making decisions based on what's best for the taxpayer.
Then why is a politician even running this office?
A great question. In a lot of places, and in fact in our local governments, state treasurer or city treasurers are appointed to those positions. It really should be an administrative role. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a political office, and so we need someone in there to fill it, and that's why I'm running.
Okay, so your campaign literature says you will, quote, ensure the management of Arizona's taxpayer dollars will reflect the values of the people rather than a few entrenched interests. So help viewers understand that. What, in your eyes, are the values of the people? Well,
it's what we've been, or what I've been advocating for as a state senator for the last 10 years in office. People want strong public schools. They want stable financial situations for themselves and for the state. They want good paying jobs. What this office will do is it will help create a financial structure in the state of Arizona that will prepare people to have those types of opportunities. When we invest in a good way, that decreases the need for us to raise taxes on the people. When you decrease the need to raise taxes, they're able to have more income in their pockets, and you can advocate for good policies that increase their financial stability as well.
Is it something more than that? I think you've spoken about housing affordability and perhaps tying that into what you might do at the treasurer's office.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there are state treasurers in other states who have put together housing task forces to really study the issue, consolidate all of the ideas, and make proposals to their legislative bodies on what are the best solutions to solve our housing crisis. This is exactly something that our treasurers in Arizona should be working on, because we are in such a crisis right now with our housing situation.
You've been criticized for playing politics with your support of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement that has tried to financially isolate the state of Israel. How would your support for BDS trickle down to investment decisions in the treasurer's office?
Well, I think, first equating my filming of a video to examine the legalities of that movement is much different than saying I support that movement, or that the support of that movement would be reflected in my investment decisions. When I filmed that video in the state capitol,
to be clear, you didn't film a video. Right, you presented a movie about
the showing
BDS.
Of the video. When we showed that video, it was really to study the legal implications of the movement and of laws that tried to prevent that movement from moving forward. As a state treasurer, I need to understand those laws, because a lot of those laws are implicated implicated in the decisions that the treasurer makes in how and where they invest money. I need to understand that in order to follow the law.
So is there anywhere that you do not want the state to invest our taxpayer dollars?
Well, there's not necessarily places I don't want us to invest, but what I want is a diverse portfolio, and I want a strong portfolio. Ultimately, that means I would need to have all of my options on the table. And when you have all your options, you've got choices. You can manage, you can move that money around in a way that's safe. When you do that, you can still move that money towards ways that are protective of our climate, that are supportive of corporations that treat their workers well and pay their workers well. You can support issues while at the same time protecting that money.
So those are some of the things you are looking for in investment choices?
As long as you can accomplish both. If I can accomplish protecting that money and bringing the best yield on that investment, then absolutely.
Got to end it there. Senator Martin Quezada, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck.
Thank you.